Hey there, guys. So yeah, let's talk about this rumoured upcoming fight between David Benavidez and Oleksandr Gvozdyk. Apparently this fight is going to be for the interim title, even though Beterbiev has just defended his WBC belt against Callum Smith, like a month and a half ago. So there's no real reason for there to be an interim belt, but boxing works in weird ways, especially with the belts. So yeah, this fight is going to be taking place for the interim title at light heavyweight. Benavidez is going to be stepping up a weight division. Whether it's a permanent move or not remains to be seen. But Benavidez could probably do with moving up a weight division, considering how big he is for that weight division, super middleweight. Probably how he has to kill himself to make that weight. I'll probably title this video something like David Benavidez is catching Oleksandr Gvozdyk at the right time. And that's because prime for prime, these two guys at their absolute best, I would take Oleksandr Gvozdyk to beat David Benavidez. Probably on points. Oleksandr Gvozdyk is someone who has always been quite impressive to me. He's always been very well-rounded. There's no real holes to his game where you look at him and think, okay, that's a major flaw. He does everything well. He's very well-rounded. He's got good skills, good fundamentals. He comes from quite a good amateur background. He does the basics very well. He's got good footwork. He can take a shot when he needs to, as he showed against Adonis Stevenson. He's a hard puncher. He put Stevenson in a coma, so he's definitely got some pop. He's just a guy who, he was like a pound for pound level fighter at his prime. Just a very high level technician. And at his absolute best, I think he would have had a bit too much for David Benavidez. Benavidez is someone who I view as a bit one-dimensional. What I mean by that is he really only has one way to fight. If you look at his fights in the past, Benavidez has, been able to bully his opponents just because of his size. Look at like the Caleb Plant fight, for example. Caleb Plant was a better technician. He was able to outbox Benavidez for the first couple of rounds. But then Benavidez's size and strength and his power was able to tell down the stretch, and he got the win. And it's the same thing against Demetrius Andrade. Andrade was able to outbox Benavidez for a couple of rounds, but then, Benavidez was just the bigger man. He broke him down. But to be honest, Benavidez, as he's going to move up through the weights, he's going to have to develop more skills to his game. He's going to have to add more tools to his toolbox. He's only really got one way to fight, which is to walk through guys. I don't think he's got very good skills when he tries to box on the back foot. He's a bit like Paul Williams. He's very good on the front foot. He's very big for the weight, and he doesn't use his attributes very well from long range. For example, I just said Caleb Plant was outboxing him from long range. In their first fight, Ronald Gavril was able to outbox him quite clearly. Andrade was able to outbox him. And I just don't see Benavidez as a strong boxer from range. I don't think he's got, he hasn't got a very strong jab. His footwork's pretty bad. He's not the fastest fighter on his feet. He's got quite slow feet. He just isn't really able to stick to a game plan of just trying to box on the back foot. He's always going to let his instincts take over and just try and walk through guys. And prime for prime, I believe Gvozdyk would probably outbox him. But the difference is, to Benavidez's usual opponents like Plant and whatnot, Gvozdyk is, bigger than those guys, but he also has that power to keep Benavidez off him. Gvozdyk was a big puncher, and he was able to put Adonis Stevenson in a coma. He's got quite a high knockout percentage. and he would be able to keep Benavidez honest. I think Benavidez would probably feel his power, and he'd have to be a bit more careful than he usually is. And I just think Gvozdyk will probably just be able to outbox Benavidez over 12 rounds. I don't think he'd stop him, but I think he'd beat him on points. And I just think he'd have a bit too much to his game for Benavidez. I don't think Benavidez will be able to just walk through Oleksandr Gvozdyk. I think Gvozdyk at his prime was just a bit too good for that to happen. But the problem is, I mean, since Gvozdyk obviously he had that unification fight against Artur Beterbiev, which didn't go his way. He got stopped in the 10th round. And it was quite a punishing loss, to be honest. I mean, Beterbiev was able to break him down systematically. It was a very competitive fight up until he got stopped, but Beterbiev was able to break him down and make Gvozdyk capitulate in the 10th round. And after that, Gvozdyk, he was out of the ring for a couple of years. He retired, but then he came back. And he's had a couple of fights at like lower level. I think he's beaten 2 journeymen. And he had a fight in Mexico against Ricards Bolotniks, who's like sort of European level, I suppose. He's nothing special, he's been stopped by like Joshua Buatsi and guys like that, just not really going to be able to do anything anywhere close to world level. Just a sort of gatekeeper in the light heavyweight division. And I don't think he really looked very good in that fight, to be honest. He stopped him in the 6th round, but I think that fight was actually a lot more competitive than it should have been. Given how good Gvozdyk was in the past, he shouldn't have been struggling against a guy like Bolotniks, dropping rounds, having a competitive fight. And you can sort of let him off a bit because it was his first decent test back in the pros, but since that fight, Gvozdyk has just fought a journeyman, and he's had no fights to prepare him for this fight. I mean, he's fought no one, in like a real tough fight who's gonna get him prepared and make him really grit his teeth to get the win. I don't think he's really had any preparation going into a fight like this, because David Benavidez is someone who, regardless of who he fights, he's going to make it hard to get the win. With his style of, always on the front foot, he's definitely going to give everyone he fights a very tough fight, unless they can stop him early. He's always going to be in your face, always going to be throwing a high volume of punches. And I just think, Gvozdyk, he's still getting on a bit. I think he's about 37, something like that. And I think he took a lot of damage in that Beterbiev fight, and the inactivity and not fighting anyone serious since he's come back. I just don't think he's going to be prepared for this fight, and I think he'll probably be he's probably a bit past his best at this point. And I think David Benavidez will probably beat Oleksandr Gvozdyk. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it was by stoppage. Oleksandr Gvozdyk in the Bolotniks fight, which is his only real test since coming back. I mean, Bolotniks was able to hit him quite a lot. Bolotniks wasn't doing anything special. He was just coming forward on the front foot, just throwing hooks, and he was able to tag Gvozdyk quite consistently. And unless Gvozdyk is able to get himself into really great shape and put in a great performance in this fight, I just don't think anything will really be different. I just don't know if he has it left in the tank to put in a great performance at this point, and I think Benavidez will probably catch him at the right time. And I think Benavidez will probably win this fight by stoppage. I think it'll probably be a late stoppage. Don't get me wrong, I think Gvozdyk will still give Benavidez some problems. I can see him outboxing him for a couple of rounds, maybe. I can see him tagging him, with that right hand. And I can see Gvozdyk doing some, some cute things in the ring, like using his footwork, opening an angle on Benavidez. but I'm not sure it'll be enough to beat him. I don't think it will. And I think Benavidez will probably gradually break him down systematically, and I think he'll probably get a late stoppage. Points is possible, but yeah, either a late stoppage or points, I'd say, for Benavidez. And yeah, so let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Gvozdyk has a chance to win this fight? Yeah, if it was a couple of years ago, I'd definitely give him a very good chance, but maybe it's just gone on a bit too long at this point. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and thanks for watching. God bless.